AITA for refusing to continue being the one supporting my son's participation in a sport he is not that enthusiastic about, but my wife is? Burner for privacy. My wife, 40F, grew up as a competitive athlete, squash, playing through college on an NCAA championship team. Her whole family is very into competitive sports. I, 47M, on the other hand, never had much interest. That's not to say that I was a couch potato. I was and have always been a frequent gym goer and into road cycling and skiing, for fun, not competition. We have a son, 11M. My wife put him into squash lessons/clinics starting at age 7. She's now started signing him up for tournaments. Even though this is mostly her doing, I am the one taking him to and from lessons/clinics, driving to tournaments, etc. I'm also essentially the person financially responsible for our entire lifestyle. With my separate money I bought our houses, cars, pay all the utilities, insurance, school tuition. My wife makes close to 6 figures, gets to spend it all on whatever she wants and still usually has approximately $0 in her bank account. I'm not complaining about this, my income and wealth is multiples of hers, but this will be relevant later. I've noticed that our son seems kind of down when I have to take him to squash and more down after he's done it. He has a lot of other interests, he loves coding, he plays guitar, he likes to ski, he likes bouldering, and between that and school, he is a conscientious and good student. Time is very scarce. The same is true for me. But both my son and I are finding our ability to do these other activities is being interfered with by my wife's insistence about how much time goes into squash. I should say that my son is okay at it, but he is never going to play Division I college, so it's not like college admissions/scholarships are in play here. I think it is great if he can play the game socially later in life, but he could achieve that spending 25% of the time on it that he does. And certainly, we wouldn't need to burn whole weekends on tournaments. I've asked my wife to pick up more of the slack for shuttling him to squash stuff, but she always says she has work she needs to do that makes it impossible. Recently, my wife signed him up for a tournament which conflicted with a bouldering event he wanted to do. He was sad. I asked him, "Do you want to keep doing this much squash?" He said that he didn't, but he didn't want to disappoint his mom. I said I'd talk to her about it. She was resistant to letting him do less, saying that he would appreciate it once he pushes through. I told her that she needs to address this with our son and that in the meantime, I was done dedicating my time and money to squash. If she wanted him to do more than a lesson or 2 a week, she would have to bring him and pay for it out of her own money. And if our son refused to cooperate with her in doing more squash than he wants, I would not enforce any consequences. She says that it isn't fair, she doesn't have the same money or time available that I have. I said, if you feel this passionate about our son's squash, then you need to put your money and time where your mouth is and not just decree that our son needs to do it and I need to be the chauffeur. She thinks I am being an a-hole about it and abusing my greater wealth and more flexible schedule. Actually, it is not more flexible, I am just way more efficient at getting work done and being able to work hunched over a laptop at the squash courts, to get what I want. Wondering what the collective wisdom of the Reddit crowd thinks? Update. As I anticipated, when I pulled my money and time from supporting squash, she was either unwilling, my view, or unable, her view, to step up. Obviously, I saw that as a good thing, since I feel my son wants, appropriately, to do less squash and more of his other interests, bouldering, skiing, guitar being the 3 big extracurriculars. But in the hopes of getting to a more consensual outcome, I told my wife that I would continue to take my son to 1 clinic and 1 lesson a week, no tournaments. For the interim, if she agreed to go to a bouldering session, to the drop-off or pick-up of a ski lesson, we go to a vacation home to ski over our spring break in March, just happened, and to a guitar lesson and at each to speak to the instructor to get their perspective on our son's interest and aptitude. Then she could compare it to how he seems to feel about/perform in squash. She agreed, and now that we are back from skiing, she's done all 3. The result was pretty much as I expected. All 3 teachers mentioned that he seemed incredibly passionate about the activity and that he was extremely coachable. The bouldering and ski teachers were clear he is probably not going to be some sort of champion, aptitude-wise, though the guitar teacher calls him one of his most talented students. In comparison, his squash coach says that he needs to bring more intensity to his efforts. Even to my squash-favoring wife, it was clear that her contention that he needs to just push through with squash does not match up with his immediate and enduring interest in and passion for his other activities. We've talked about it together and my wife agreed she'd follow our son's lead on squash. We asked him what his idea outcome is and he said that he'd like to continue squash at a low intensity, so he can play it socially. He wants to do clinic once a week and once a week to play with his mom. He said that being able to play with her would be one of the main reasons for him to keep playing and that he had been disappointed she hadn't done it much. She said she didn't realize that but that it made her happy that he wants to play with her and she will make time. So we have what seems to be a solution: no more tournaments, one clinic a week and periodic mom and son hitting sessions.